Hey there everyone, Lord Frigid here with another episode of Aether Raid's Offense. This time we are back in light season, although unfortunately this time I did not have a particularly great light season. On my very first battle actually, I just screwed up the execution so badly. I lost 3 units, and then on top of that, I took out the second to last enemy with the last unit that I had that still had an action. And as a result, the final enemy suicided into my unit, and I was forced to eat that 3-death victory instead of burning an escape ladder on that battle, which I was totally going to do. So yeah, not exactly the best way to start off the season, but I rebounded pretty well, I think. Still ended up in tier 27, just barely. Yeah, so not so bad, not so great. I guess that's enough from me. Let's just go ahead and get right into these battles. Here we have the first map, and this is a map type that I actually hadn't run into before this season, but got it twice this past week, as my first and last battles, interestingly enough. It's a combination of a space oppression and restore trap setup that tries to force the AI to become aggressive on turn 1 by getting the staff cavalry unit to restore something and then be refreshed afterward. Unfortunately, this is the less threatening of the 2 maps like this that I encountered because I screwed up the execution on the first one. A more optimal setup would force the staff cavalry enemy to refresh from the right-hand defense tile and block off other key spaces at the top of the map to prevent them from running off and using restore on someone else after getting refreshed. The map has one significant weakness in the 2 defense tiles in front of the enemies. If you are able to get a powerful tank up to one of them, preferably the one on the right-hand side, just because it blocks more of the enemies, you can just let them sit there and absorb all the enemy's attacks. Null Sea Disrupt is actually optional in this case, and not running it might even help since it will allow you to eliminate everything except the staff enemy and then run around grabbing the Aether structures in relative safety. Some other more conditional weaknesses include Bright Fjorm, who can block the restore from happening entirely until you've maneuvered into a more advantageous position. If you're into using offensive structures, a well-placed catapult can disrupt the staff unit, forcing them to go off and restore someone else instead of attacking. A restore healer with free reign usually tends to consume refreshes that would have otherwise been better put to use on the enemy team's more threatening units. So all in all, it's a pretty interesting concept, and I'm rather hoping to run into it again, if only to showcase a more difficult variant than this one. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get into my approach to the map. So fortunately for me, this setup doesn't do a particularly good job of preventing my units from breaching the defense tile on turn 1, so I'm going to go ahead and take full advantage of that, breaking this pumpkin structure, whatever it's called. Pumpkin lanterns, okay. Peony can refresh Idun now, and after a quick smite from Louise, she'll be in the tree, able to walk up to the defense tile and just park herself in front of Sothis, maybe attack her? Oh, definitely not. Don't want to give her wrath, so I'm going to go ahead and just leave her there. And then, gosh, what do I do after that? Idun gets hit by the panic manor. That's annoying. It's not really a problem per se, since Idun ignores negative status, negative buffs and debuffs on her anyways. It's just a little unfortunate that I don't get to have those buffs on her as actual buffs.
Yes.
So, let's see. I'm expecting a restore immediately on Azura, and then a refresh. Oh, Azura moved, which means that she gets to restore someone else. Okay. Oh, 0 damage and 1 from the special. That's fine. Okay, that's a much better trade for Idun than it is for Lucina, so I'm okay with that. Oh, and since Nephany was nice enough to refresh Veronica, Idun can take out Yoon as well. Perfect. Now let's take a look and see how this matchup with Nephany looks like. Whoa, what in the world? I was honestly not expecting her to be able to hit her twice. That was, I thought she was fast. I don't know. Maybe she is, and Idun's just cool like that. But oh well. Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and move Sothis up here. I mean, even if Lucina does attack that spot instead of attacking Idun, she's not gonna deal a whole lot of damage to Sothis, who she is at weapon triangle disadvantage on. And after a refresh from Azura, oh, well, Veronica goes out to Sothis. Perfect, which means Lucina is forced to attack Idun. And this should be a pretty quick cleanup here. Let's see, can Idun double Veronica? Oh, wow, yeah, nice. Very impressive, actually.
Time to celebrate.
And then, Sothis's movement has been lowered by that trap, so I'm going to go ahead and take this structure. Yeah, Azura's, she's going to die to whoever she attacks, so whatever. Let's see who it is. Probably Idun. Yeah, figured. Not too bad. Alright, so this is interesting. A few videos ago, actually I think it was exactly 3 videos ago, I featured a cavline map for the first time on this series. It was a more traditional cavline using the desert terrain, and someone brought up the fact that some people had transitioned to using the spring breeze terrain instead. Now what this does is it sacrifices a bit of space oppression. As you can see, the spring breeze map has 2 breakable blocks on the 3rd row, which is 1 more obstacle for the enemy team than the desert terrain has. In return, users get the ability to put 2 hard obstacles in the middle of the map at the bottom, with the unbreakable column and the defense fortress, and an excuse to run 2 mythics to reduce lift loss and give the cavalry stat bonuses, since obviously there's not really any point in having a cavalry unit in the left-hand column anymore. Another thing I'd like to bring up is that in my last Cavline analysis, I theorized that Cavlines are weaker in Astra Season, since using Altina increases the number of enemy phase fighters that an attacker has available. Some people brought up that Light Season has some pretty powerful tools for Cavlines as well. Notably, Air's Mystic Boost neutralizes Wrathful Staff, so she can bait out enemy staff units, which any good Cavline should have at least 1 of. Additionally, Brave Ike is more prominent in Light Season than Astra Season because he benefits much more from Air's Res Boost than he does from Naga's Def Boost or Altina's Attack Boost. And he wouldn't be too hard-pressed to deal with multiple cavalry at once. Now, both of these are excellent points, and I will admit that I was a little hasty with my initial assessment. I do think that as far as using mythics to bait out the cavalry, I would prefer to stick Altina in front of a bow or a tome and take them out, rather than put Air in front of a staff and risk having that staff get repositioned away by a bow or tome afterward. A bow in particular could be troublesome if you can't get Air out quickly enough, but that is just my personal preference and playstyle talking, and of course, at the end of the day, what really matters is the team matchup. That's what I overlooked with my initial assessment. So, with all that said, the best responses to a Cavline remain unchanged from last time. You will benefit a lot from having multiple units capable of combat at 2 range on the enemy phase. Again, units with Null Sea Disrupt here will be especially useful. And from having some empty space in the bottom row of your map. I will actually be using both of these pointers in my own approach, and as the battle progresses, you may be pleased to see that I took some of your own statements to heart as well. You know, it's maps like this that make me wish I had given Faye Steady Posture 3 from my only Shannan that I've ever pulled, simply because it is more reliable than a bonus doubler for panic heavy maps, which Cavlines are and should be. Okay. This one's maybe not as panic heavy as I think I would make one of a Cavline of my own, but oh well. I'll use it to my advantage. Let's go ahead and bump Caden over into the corner and get Faye in front of Reinhardt and Veronica. Now I am expecting a harsh command out of Yoon. Let's see where that goes to Reinhardt, and oh, I actually missed the fact that the enemy Reinhardt also had harsh command. That's unfortunate. Ooh. Fortunately, Faye has no siege disruption, can take out Veronica, but let's see how that affects positioning here. Ew, that's ugly. Okay. So, gosh. They can't one-shot Louise. There's Reinhardt and Yoon waiting menacingly behind her. I really want to block off this space that Louise can use to get at Caden and Air. Letting her attack that spot, those spots would be very, very bad. But on the other hand, the only spaces I can have Faye block that from are targeted by the panic manner, or affected by the panic manner. And even if they weren't, Nana is capable of attacking those locations as well, which means that Faye's probably going to have panic applied to her either way, and she already has attack and defense buffs, and yeah. On the other hand, this space is safe because only Nana targets that, and Air neutralizes Wrathful Staff. Thank you again for those pointers. So, I don't like this. I do not like this at all, but I don't really think I have any other choice. Alright, we need to actually take a look at this. Can she handle that? I mean, sure, the buff gets reversed, but, well, I could have Caden provide buffs from below here, so let's go ahead and do that. I'll get +3 to all stats from Peony, so he can actually radiate those out to Faye. Hopefully that will help a little. And I guess one of the good things is Faye doesn't have a speed buff here, or res buff, so those won't be reversed. She will have her defenses at least unharmed for the combat against Reinhardt and Yoon. So I'm sorry, Faye, this is gonna hurt. Let's see how much. Oh, Nana's attacking first. Well, that's good. That means that none of them kill her. At the very least, or at least in one round. Okay, 24. 24. Actually, that's not so bad. It doesn't even put her under half. And she should get a KO with Iceberg. So let's see what Reinhardt and Yoon do. Okay, 2 6s. Okay, now she's under half, but I believe she should be able to one-shot Yoon, so I'm not too worried. Okay, so let's take a look. How much does Yoon deal? 3. Oh, actually, will she be in Wings of Mercy under half HP? Let's see. 19. I forget what her max HP is, actually. Gosh, I used to know her stat line like the back of my hand because I used her so much, but let's take a look. Faye has...
Okay.
Oh, wow. She is exactly at half HP. So Peony will be able to warp to her. I don't want to trip that just yet. I'm like 99% sure that's real. Like, there's no reason to not protect your panic manner in a situation like this with a Catline map. So I'm gonna go ahead and I need to get Louise out of here. I don't want Louise getting attacked by Nana. So
Right you are.
Smite her out, and then how do I want to handle this? Kaden can break this block, and then Peony. Oh, I don't need to refresh Louise. I can just have Faye walk up here, and Peony will be able to warp to Faye. Forgot about that.
Okay.
Actually, I could take out that panic manner and eliminate Nana on the enemy phase. Do I want to do that?
All right.
Yeah, sure, why not? I'm confident enough that this heavy trap is real to be doing this. Obviously, the heavy trap being real will affect Sothis because she doesn't exactly have the most HP in the world. So I'm actually kind of betting on that. So let's take a look, see what happens. Kaden can go ahead and reposition Louise onto the trap. And even if it isn't real, I'm pretty sure Louise can tank out around from Sothis anyway. It is real, which means that I can go ahead and have Louise run around breaking the Aether structures while I wait. I'll have Kaden warp to Peony. Thank goodness for that bonus. I mean, he didn't really need it per se, since even one move would take him out of the range of Sothis, but just nice to get him a little further to safety. So let's see what Faye can do to Sothis here. It is a one-shot. Okay, I don't even need to move Kaden. So I'm just gonna take out the Aether Fountain and then finish off this map. No need to do any weird visiting shenanigans with getting Kaden's buffs out there. Alright, and that is it. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Aether Raids Offense. I will admit that I actually had fun after that initial first battle screw-up, so hopefully that does not continue. I am very, very well aware that my performance in Astra Season tends to be a little shakier than my performance in Light Season, so we will have to see how that goes. I do hope to be able to put another Aether Raids Offense video for you guys out here at the end of next season, so we will see about that. And regardless, thank you all so very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.